Every morning at exactly 9:15, a thin teenage boy stood on platform 3 of the old train station. The station was always busy. Trains arrived with loud noise. People rushed past each other. Some were late for work. Some were excited to travel. Some were tired and angry. But in the middle of all that noise, the boy stood very still. He did not beg for money. He did not talk to strangers. He did not smile much. He just waited. People had seen him there for years. Some thought he was strange. Some felt sorry for him. Others did not care at all. The tea seller near the stairs once said, "That boy has been standing here since he was small." And it was true. 10 years ago, he was only a small child. His clothes were too big for him, and his face was always dirty from dust. But even then, he stood at the same place at the same time every single day. Rain did not stop him. Cold wind did not stop him. Even strong summer heat did not stop him. At 9:10, he would walk slowly toward platform 3. At 9:14, he would look down the tracks. At 9:15, he would stand straight and watch the train arrive. His eyes searched every face that came out of the train. Every single face. When the passengers finished getting off and the train doors closed again, he would lower his head slowly. Then he would sit on the wooden bench for a few minutes before leaving. And the next day, he would return again. No one really knew his story. Some station workers made up their own stories. Maybe he lost his family. Maybe someone left him. Maybe he is just crazy. But none of them asked him deeply. His name was Daniel. He did not talk much about himself. When someone asked him why he waited, he gave only one answer. "I am waiting for someone." That was all. One morning, a group of schoolboys walked past him. They laughed and pointed at him. "Hey, your train is late again," one of them shouted. Daniel did not react. He kept looking at the tracks. The truth was, deep inside his heart, he believed that one day would be different. He remembered the last day he saw his mother. He remembered her warm hands. He remembered her soft voice. He remembered her promise. "Wait for me at platform 3. I will find you." He did not fully understand what she meant back then. He was only 7 years old. But he believed her words with all his heart. To Daniel, a promise was not just words. It was hope. It was love. It was everything he had left. The orphan home where he lived was not a happy place. It was clean and organized, but it felt cold. The workers were strict. The other children slowly forgot their past. Some were adopted and left. Others stopped talking about their families. But Daniel never forgot. Every afternoon after school, he walked to the station. It took him 20 minutes. He always arrived early. Sometimes he imagined how it would happen. The train would stop. The doors would open. And she would step out smiling. Maybe she was delayed. Maybe she was far away. Maybe something stopped her before. But she would come. He believed that. As the years passed, Daniel grew taller. His face became sharper. His smile became rare. But his eyes stayed the same, always searching. Old workers at the station retired. New ones came. But Daniel stayed. Even the pigeons seemed to know him. They flew around him without fear. There was something quiet and strong about him. One cold winter morning, snow started falling lightly. People hurried to stay warm. Most platforms were almost empty, but Daniel was there. His hands were red from the cold. His jacket was thin. Still, he stood straight at 9:15. The train arrived late that day. Very late. His heart beat faster than usual. Maybe today was the day. The train finally stopped. Steam rose into the cold air. The doors opened slowly. One by one, passengers stepped down. Daniel's eyes moved quickly from face to face. A tall man, a tired woman, a mother holding a baby, an old couple. But not her. The platform became empty again. The train left. Daniel did not cry. He never cried in public. He just stood there for a little longer than usual. Something felt different in the air that morning. He did not know why, but for the first time in many years, his heart whispered something strange. Soon. And as he slowly walked away from platform 3, he did not know that his long wait was closer to ending than he ever imagined. Life at the orphan home was not cruel, but it was not warm either. The building was large and gray. The walls were clean, but they felt empty. There were many children, but most of them stayed quiet. Everyone carried a story. Everyone carried pain. Daniel was given a small bed near the window. From there, he could see a small road that led toward the train station. Every night before sleeping, he looked at that road and imagined walking down it. The first few weeks were the hardest. He woke up in the middle of the night, thinking he heard his mother's voice. He turned quickly, hoping she was standing beside him. But there was only silence. The other children slowly adjusted to orphan life. Some forgot their past because it hurt too much to remember. Some were adopted and left with new families. When that happened, the workers would clap and smile. But Daniel never raised his hand when visitors came. When couples walked through the hall, looking for a child to take home, Daniel stayed in the back. He did not want a new family. He already had one. She just had not come back yet. Every afternoon after school, Daniel followed the same routine. He finished his homework quickly. He cleaned his small space neatly. Then he told the caretaker, "I am going to the station." At first, the caretaker tried to stop him. "You should stay here and play with other children," she said. But Daniel looked at her with calm eyes and replied, "I have to wait." After some time, they stopped asking questions. They let him go. The walk to the station took 20 minutes. Daniel knew every crack in the sidewalk. He knew which street dogs barked and which ones were friendly. He knew which shop owners would wave at him. The station felt like home. The smell of tea, the sound of wheels rolling on metal, the loud announcements from the speaker. It all felt familiar. At exactly 9:15, he stood on platform 3. At first, he was small and easy to miss. Passengers rushed past him without noticing. But Daniel noticed everything. He studied faces carefully. A woman with tired eyes. A man with a suitcase. A child holding a balloon. Every time a woman stepped off the train, his heart jumped. For 1 second, hope filled his chest. Then it disappeared again. One day, a kind woman who sold flowers noticed him standing alone. "Who are you waiting for?" she asked gently. "My mother," Daniel replied. The woman's smile faded. She had heard about the accident years ago. Everyone in the station had. But she did not tell him the truth again. Instead, she handed him a small white flower. "For hope," she said softly. Daniel kept that flower inside his book for months. Years passed. Daniel grew taller. His voice became deeper. His shoulders became stronger. But inside, he was still that 7-year-old boy holding his mother's hand. Some children at the orphan home started teasing him. "She is not coming," they would say. "You are stupid to wait." Daniel never fought back. He simply said, "You do not know her." He believed something simple. His mother loved him. And love does not lie. Sometimes, late at night, doubt tried to enter his heart. What if she cannot come back? What if I misunderstood her words? But then he remembered her eyes that night. They were not scared. They were not confused. They were full of meaning. She had said it clearly. "Wait for me." So he waited. Seasons changed around him. He waited in heavy rain, holding no umbrella. He waited in summer heat, sweat running down his face. He waited in winter cold, his hands shaking. But his eyes never stopped searching. Old station workers retired. New ones arrived. Some knew him by name. "There is Daniel," they would say, "still waiting." Some people started respecting him. They saw something strong in him. Not weakness, not foolishness, but loyalty. Waiting is not easy. Most people give up when things take too long. Most people forget promises when life becomes hard. But Daniel was different. His promise did not fade. It became stronger with time. And even though 10 years felt long to everyone else, to him it felt like one long breath. A breath he was still holding. Because deep inside his heart, he believed one simple truth. The day would come. And when it did, he would be there. On platform 3. Before Daniel became the quiet boy on platform 3, he was just a happy little child who loved trains. When he was 7 years old, the station was not a place of pain. It was a place of wonder. He loved the sound of trains arriving. He loved the loud whistle. He loved counting the coaches as they passed. But most of all, he loved sitting near the small cafe where his mother worked. His mother was not rich. She worked long hours serving tea and bread to passengers. Her hands were always busy, but her smile never faded. "Stay close to me," she would say softly. Daniel would sit on a small wooden chair near the corner, drawing pictures on old paper. Sometimes he drew trains. Sometimes he drew a house with a big sun above it. In every drawing, his mother was always smiling. They lived in a small rented room near the station. The walls were old, and the roof leaked when it rained. But Daniel never felt poor, because he had her. Every evening, after her shift ended at 9:15, she would hold his hand, and they would walk home together. That time, 9:15, became special to him. It was the time they were together again after a long day. One evening, everything changed. The sky was dark. Heavy clouds covered the moon. The air felt strange, like something bad was coming. Daniel was sitting near the cafe, waiting for his mother to finish work. Suddenly, there was loud shouting from outside. People started running toward the tracks. A train had stopped suddenly just outside the station. There had been a small accident. Some workers were hurt. Daniel felt scared. He searched for his mother with his eyes. She came out of the cafe quickly. "Stay here," she told him. "Do not move." Her voice was calm, but her face looked worried. She ran toward the crowd to help. She was always like that. If someone needed help, she never stayed back. Daniel waited near the cafe door. Minutes passed. Then more shouting, more running, sirens in the distance. Daniel's small hands started shaking. He wanted to run to her, but he remembered her words. "Stay here." Time felt slow and heavy. Finally, two men carried someone on a stretcher toward an ambulance. Daniel's heart stopped when he saw her face. His mother looked pale. Her eyes were closed. He ran toward her, crying, "Mama!" Her eyes opened slowly when she heard his voice. She tried to smile. Her hand searched for his and he held it tightly. Her voice was very weak. "Daniel, listen to me." Tears rolled down his cheeks. "I am here, Mama." She looked at him with love, the same love she always had. "Wait for me. At platform 3. I will find you." He did not understand. "Where are you going?" he asked, his voice breaking. But she did not answer. The ambulance doors closed, and that was the last time he saw her alive. Later that night, a kind nurse told him that his mother had died from her injuries. The world felt empty. The station felt louder than ever, but at the same time very far away. Daniel sat alone on a bench, holding the small scarf his mother always wore. It still smelled like her perfume. He repeated her last words in his mind again and again. "Wait for me at platform 3. He believed she would come back. Maybe she was going somewhere to heal. Maybe she needed time. Maybe adults just said strange things before leaving. But she promised. And his mother never broke promises. The next day, social workers came. They said he had no other family nearby. They said he would go to an orphan home. He did not argue. He only asked one question. "Can I visit the station?" The social worker looked confused but nodded slowly. From that day, Daniel's life changed. The small rented room was gone. The warm evening walks were gone. Her voice was gone. But one thing stayed alive inside him. Hope. And every day after that, at exactly 9:15, he stood at platform 3. Because somewhere deep inside his broken heart, he believed she would keep her promise. Even if the whole world said she was gone. The woman stood only a few steps away from Daniel. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The world around them continued moving. People walked past. A train horn sounded in the distance. The loudspeaker announced another arrival. But for Daniel, everything felt silent. The woman's eyes were full of tears. They looked so much like his mother's eyes that his chest hurt. She whispered softly, "Daniel." His name sounded different in her voice, but also strangely familiar. Daniel felt his throat tighten. "Yes," he answered quietly. The woman took a slow breath, as if she had been holding it for years. "I have been looking for you," she said. Daniel's heart began to race. "Looking for me?" Mr. Harris stood behind him, watching carefully. The woman stepped closer. Now Daniel could see her face clearly. She was not his mother. That truth was clear. But there was something about her, the shape of her eyes, the way she held her hands, that felt connected. "My name is Sarah," she said softly. "I am your mother's sister." The words hit Daniel like a strong wind. "Sister?" he repeated. She nodded slowly. "Yes, we were twins." Daniel felt his knees weaken. Twins. That was why she looked so familiar. That was why his heart felt confused but not afraid. "I did not know about the accident until much later," Sarah continued. "I was living in another country at that time. We had lost contact for some years." Her voice shook. "When I found out what happened, I tried to find you. But there were no clear records. You were moved to an orphan home. Your last name was written wrong in some papers. Took me years to search." Daniel listened without blinking. 10 years of waiting. 10 years of believing. And now someone stood in front of him, saying she had searched too. Sarah slowly lifted the small box she was holding. "I brought something for you," she said. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was an old letter and a small silver necklace. Daniel recognized the necklace immediately. His mother used to wear it every day. It had a tiny heart-shaped pendant. His breath stopped. "I kept this," Sarah said gently. "Your mother gave it to me long ago. She told me that if anything ever happened to her, I must find you." Tears filled Daniel's eyes. Sarah carefully handed him the letter. "It was written the week before the accident," she explained. "She sent it to me, but I received it after she was gone." Daniel's hands shook as he opened the letter. The paper was old, slightly yellow. He recognized his mother's handwriting immediately. It was soft and curved, just like her voice. He began reading slowly. "If you are reading this, something may have happened to me. But please do not let my son feel alone. Tell him I love him more than anything. Tell him to wait for you at platform 3. You will find him. And when you do, give him this necklace so he knows it is real." Daniel could not read further. His vision blurred with tears. She had known. She had planned. Her promise had not been empty words. It had been part of a bigger promise. He looked up at Sarah, his face wet with tears. "She said she would find me," he whispered. Sarah nodded through her own tears. "And she did," she said softly. "Through me." Daniel felt something break inside him. But it was not pain. It was the heavy wall he had built around his heart. For 10 years, he had waited for a miracle. And now he understood. Sometimes love does not return in the same form. Sometimes promises travel through other people. Mr. Harris stepped forward quietly. "I think," the old man said gently, "this is what you were waiting for." Daniel looked at the tracks one more time. For years, he had searched every face stepping off that train. Today, he finally stopped searching, because the answer had stepped off the train. Sarah opened her arms slowly. Daniel did not hesitate. He stepped forward and hugged her tightly. For the first time in 10 years, he felt something he had almost forgotten. Family, warmth, belonging. The station around them felt brighter somehow. Passengers who walked by did not know the story. They did not know about the 10 years of waiting. But something important had just ended, and something new had just begun. Daniel held the necklace tightly in his hand. His mother had kept her promise. Not in the way he imagined, but in the way that mattered most. 10 years is a long time. Long enough for a child to grow into a young man. Long enough for buildings to change color. Long enough for people to forget. But Daniel did not forget. He was now 17 years old. He was taller and his face looked older than his age. Life had made him serious. He did not laugh easily like other boys. But inside him, the same 7-year-old heart still waited. The station had changed over the years. The small cafe where his mother worked had new paint. The flower seller was older now, her hair more gray. New digital screens showed train times instead of old boards. But platform 3 stayed the same. And so did Daniel. Every day at 9:15 he stood in his place. People who traveled daily started recognizing him. "There is that boy again," some would whisper. "He is still waiting." Some felt respect. Some felt pity. Some still thought he was foolish. But Daniel did not care about their opinions. Waiting had become part of who he was. One evening, a young couple stood near him while waiting for their train. The woman looked at Daniel and asked softly, "Why does he stand here every day?" The man replied, "I heard he is waiting for someone who will never come." Daniel heard the words. They hurt, but not as much as before, because after 10 years, pain becomes quiet, stays inside, but it does not shout anymore. The orphan home had changed too. Many children had come and gone. Some were adopted. Some left when they became adults. Daniel had learned to take care of himself. He studied hard. He worked part-time at a small repair shop in the evenings. He saved money carefully. But no matter how busy life became, 9:15 always belonged to Platform 3. The workers at the station respected him now. They no longer laughed. They no longer questioned him. Mr. Harris still stood beside him most mornings. The old conductor walked slower now. His hands shook slightly when holding the teacups. "You are almost a man now," Mr. Harris said one morning. Daniel gave a small smile. "I have been waiting a long time." The old man nodded. He knew. Then came the day that marked exactly 10 years since the accident. Daniel woke up before sunrise. His heart felt strange, like something heavy was pressing on it. He could not explain it. He dressed carefully that morning. He wore his cleanest shirt. He combed his hair neatly. At school, he could not focus. The clock moved slowly. Every minute felt longer than usual. At 8:45, he left early and walked toward the station. The air felt different. Clouds covered the sky, but it was not raining. The wind was calm. Even the birds seemed quiet. When Daniel arrived at Platform 3, it felt almost empty. Mr. Harris was already there. "You came early," the old man said gently. Daniel nodded. Today is 10 years. The words stayed between them. 10 years since that night. 10 years since her last words. They stood in silence. At 9:14, Daniel's hands started shaking slightly. His heart beat faster than ever before. He did not know why, but something felt close. The loudspeaker announced the arrival of the 9:15 train. The sound echoed across the platform. The train appeared in the distance, moving slowly toward them. Daniel felt like time was slowing down. The wheels screeched softly as the train stopped. Steam rose into the air. The doors opened. Passengers began stepping down one by one. Daniel's eyes searched quickly. A businessman with a black bag. A tired nurse. A young mother holding a child. His heart jumped at every woman who stepped down. But then something strange happened. The crowd did not move away quickly like usual. A woman stood near the train door. She did not step forward at first. She looked around the platform carefully, as if searching for someone. Daniel felt his breath stop. The woman looked older, maybe in her late 30s. Her eyes were filled with tears. She held something in her hands. A small box. Slowly, she stepped onto the platform. She looked left, then right, then her eyes stopped. They locked onto Daniel. Daniel felt the world around him disappear. The noise of the station faded. The sound of footsteps faded. It was just him and her. His heart whispered something he had not felt in years. Hope. Real hope. Mr. Harris noticed the change in Daniel's face. "What is it?" he asked softly. But Daniel could not answer. The woman started walking toward him slowly. With every step she took, Daniel's chest felt tighter. Was this it? Was this the end of 10 years of waiting? Or was it just another disappointment? As she moved closer, Daniel realized something. She did not look exactly like his mother, but there was something familiar in her eyes. Something that made his heart recognize her before his mind did. And as she stopped just a few steps away from him, holding the small box tightly, Daniel knew his life was about to change forever. For many years, Daniel waited without anyone truly seeing him. People saw his body. They saw a thin boy standing near the yellow line. They saw his quiet face, but they did not see his heart. Until one man finally did. His name was Mr. Harris. He was an old train conductor who had worked at the station for more than 30 years. His hair was white and his back was slightly bent. He walked slowly, but his eyes were sharp. He had watched thousands of trains arrive and leave. He had seen people cry goodbye and laugh hello. He had seen soldiers leave for war and return home. But he had never seen someone wait like Daniel. At first, he thought the boy would stop coming after a few weeks. Then months passed. Then years. And the boy was still there. One cold morning, Mr. Harris stood near platform 3 with a clipboard in his hand. Snow was falling lightly. Most people stayed inside the station hall to keep warm. But Daniel stood in his usual place. His jacket was thin. His hands were red from the cold. Still, he did not move. Mr. Harris felt something heavy in his chest. He walked slowly toward the boy. "You will catch a cold," he said in a soft voice. Daniel looked at him politely. "I am okay." Mr. Harris studied his face carefully. There was no anger in it. No sadness showing on the outside. Only quiet patience. "Who are you waiting for?" the old man asked. Daniel answered the same way he always did. "My mother." The words were simple, but they hit Mr. Harris deeply. He remembered the accident from 10 years ago. He had been working that night. He remembered the chaos, the sirens, the stretcher. He remembered the small boy crying. He looked at Daniel again and suddenly he understood. This was that boy, the one who lost everything. Mr. Harris felt a wave of pain. He knew the truth. He knew the mother had not survived. He knew she would never step off that train. For a moment, he thought about telling Daniel. He thought about saying, "Son, she is not coming." But when he looked into Daniel's eyes, he stopped himself. Those eyes were not foolish. They were not confused. They were full of belief. And somehow, the old man did not have the heart to destroy that belief. Instead, he did something small. The next morning, he brought 2 cups of hot tea. He handed one to Daniel. "For the cold," he said. Daniel hesitated for a second, then accepted it. "Thank you." They stood side by side as the 9:15 train arrived. Passengers stepped off. Daniel's eyes moved from face to face as always. Mr. Harris watched him quietly. When the last passenger left and the train doors closed again, Daniel lowered his head slightly. It was a small movement, but Mr. Harris noticed it. That was the moment hope broke for the day. After the train left, Daniel turned to go. "See you tomorrow," Mr. Harris said gently. Daniel gave a small nod, and he returned the next day, and the day after that. Soon it became a silent routine. At 9:10, Daniel would arrive. At 9:12, Mr. Harris would appear with 2 cups of tea. At 9:15, they would stand together. They did not talk much. They did not need to. Sometimes silence understands more than words. One evening, Mr. Harris finally asked a deeper question. "Why do you believe she will come?" Daniel looked at the tracks before answering. "Because she promised." The answer was calm and strong. Mr. Harris felt tears in his eyes. In his long life, he had seen many broken promises. He had seen fathers leave families. He had seen friends betray friends. But this boy still believed in a promise made 10 years ago. There was something powerful about that. Something rare. From that day, Mr. Harris stopped seeing Daniel as a foolish child. He began seeing him as someone brave. Because waiting is not weakness. Waiting is strength. As months passed, the old conductor started protecting him quietly. If someone laughed at Daniel, Mr. Harris gave them a sharp look. If someone pushed too close to the yellow line, he moved them away. He never said it out loud, but in his heart he began waiting too. Waiting to see what would happen. Waiting to see if hope could really survive that long. And deep inside, a small part of him wondered something strange. What if the boy is right? What if some promises travel slowly? What if 10 years is not the end of a story, but only the middle? As another 9:15 train rolled into platform 3, steam rising into the cold air, Mr. Harris stood beside Daniel once again. And for the first time in many years, he did not feel sorry for the boy. He felt proud of him.